All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to the first episode of the State of Hockey podcast. My name is Dylan.
I'm Cole.
And we are going to be talking to you about not only all things Minnesota Wild, but we're also going to be looking league-wide. Today, in episode 1, we are going to talk about a few things. First things first, we'll do a little bit about the channel, which we kind of just did. We're going to look at the Minnesota Wild as a whole and their current roster overview. We will do some reality checks, give some takes on the Wild and the team and how we feel about it this year and moving forward. We'll do a recap of last week's Wild games, so that will be against the Blackhawks, against the Avalanche, and against the Buffalo Sabres. Cole's got a bit of a proposition for us that he's going to give to everybody, and it is still holiday season. Thanksgiving did recently pass. We're recording this just before the Oilers game on December 2nd, but we will talk about what we're thankful for. I think there's some obvious ones in there, but yeah, we'll go with that. And we'll kind of go right with the roster overview, unless you have something to say here, Cole.
Let's get into it.
All right, sweet.
Let's do some overviews.
First things first, we've got the man himself, the Carillionaire, Kirill Dollar Bill, whatever you want to call him.
The money man.
Himself, yeah. Why don't you lead this one?
Yeah, so Kirill Kaprizov, no surprise here. He's making $17 million a year. Definitely been on the high end. We got, Billy G really wants to keep him. I think everyone here wants to keep him. We love Kaprizov here, and he's putting up numbers to prove it too. He's currently 4th in scoring in terms of goals. Points and assists, he's up there as well. Kaprizov has been producing, maybe not at a $17 million pace, but he has definitely been our top scorer. He's still, along with someone we'll get into very soon, one of our best players. But there's some other things too with Kaprizov. As we know, his shootout performance isn't great. Kaprizov sits at around, I believe, a 15 or 20% shootout rate, which is not good, especially for the highest paid player in the league.
Yeah,
Don, what do you think about that?
So, yeah, we'll look at his counting stats here at this current point. He is definitely a shooter. You can see he's outperforming that expected goals by quite a bit. And that's something that he usually does. He's just, that 19.1 shooting percentage is not the outlier that it would be for some other players. But a lot of that production has been on the power play to this point in the season. He's had a real good last couple of weeks, good month of November as a whole. Hopefully he can continue it. He has started to look closer to that Kirill Kaprizov that we expected when we signed him to that 8x17. But, yeah, he didn't have a great start, and a lot of that production is still coming on the power play. And talking about the shootout here, he did score against Buffalo, so that's nice, but I always remind pretty much anyone that will listen to me, kind of like a crazy person, that is his first shootout goal since early 2023.
Nearly 3 years.
Nearly. He is terrible in the shootout. If you guys have watched him in the shootout, he has about 2 moves that he'll do. They're both kind of lazy. They usually don't work. Sometimes he misses the net. In fact, he misses the net often. He's got 8 shootout goals. This is all of the shootout goals in his career listed right here, by the way. And he's way too skilled. It's not like he has bad hands or anything. He's way too skilled to be this poor in the shootout. But that is not why we signed him to that contract. It's for the offensive production, and while we haven't seen it necessarily at the clip we did at this point last season, I still fully expect him to be every bit worth that $9 million contract that he's still being paid under, and I'm hoping that he can try to perform to the level that he is signed for moving forward. And speaking of moving forward, we will go to our next player, which is his best buddy, his line mate, Mats Zuccarello. Mats Zuccarello is really getting up there in age. He's got 1 year left on his $4.125 million salary, and I would say his addition back into the lineup on November 7th was really the turning point in the team's season. We were obviously horrible in October, 3-6-3. We did kind of bounce back before he came back on the 7th, and we had a phenomenal November, 11-1-2. And as you can see, although he is really getting up there, Unk still got it. He's played 11 games, and he's got 10 points. He's just so good with Kirill Kaprizov. How do you feel about that partnership, Cole?
Yeah, we can see here he's 22nd in our games played. He's played less than half of our season, but he is up there. He is 5th in assists on our team, and you already know all 9 of those assists, they're going to one man himself, Kirill Kaprizov. Yeah, Zuccarello, like you said, he's getting up there. But when he's with Kaprizov, he's 10 years younger, and that puck has a 10 times 10, aka 100% chance of finding Kaprizov's stick when Zuccarello has it.
Agreed.
We can definitely say Zuccarello is borderline useless when he's not with Kaprizov. He's a third, fourth liner on most other teams. But with that special connection we have here, he's definitely 10 times a better player, and he makes Kaprizov a better player as well. Although not nearly as much as Kaprizov is a superstar in himself. Because Zuccarello, it's the two-man army. Zuccarello and Kaprizov, the pass back and forth. I'm sure you guys have seen clips of those Islanders goals back and forth. You can see those anytime. There's at least one a week, every single week. Something like that will happen.
I always think, especially on the power play, if he's got the puck, he's going to pass it across 3 different guys to just go for Kaprizov. They kind of have that style where they really swing for the fences. They'll take a risk on a pass that might be intercepted if they think that in the event that it's caught, it gives them a higher chance to score. I do love that most of the time, especially during the regular season. Like you said, he really wouldn't be nearly as effective without Kirill Kaprizov. He does have that hockey sense, but at this point in his career, his legs have really given out on him. I think we saw that version of him before Kirill Kaprizov arrived. I love pulling this up here. If we look at his stats pre and post Kaprizov, his first year with the Wild, he was not very good. It wasn't terrible, 37 points, 65 games. But after we added Kaprizov and stapled Zuccarello to his opposite wing, the numbers significantly improved. He's even been over a point a game at certain points, which he had never been in his career to that point. Love me some Matt Zuccarello, but he is. It's starting to. You're starting to wonder what's the contingency plan after he does inevitably retire.
Yeah, then moving on to a younger face of our team, Marco Rossi. He is definitely still growing. Everyone knows that if you're going to be a center in the NHL, you have to be up there in size, and Marco Rossi's not.
So he's not growing in that regard necessarily.
He's growing in other regards, as you can see here. Marco Rossi is getting up there now in terms of skill and points. He is top 5 on our team in a lot of categories, including the important ones: goals, assists, 16 points. But Rossi, he's an interesting place on our roster because he's definitely not that huge superstar center that a superstar like Kaprizov could use with him. But he's also no slouch. He really brings that forecheck. He brings that drive. Despite being undersized, he still plays aggressive, and I do think there is a lot of potential for Marco Rossi in the future.
Yeah, we saw him go from a 40-point rookie year, I think he was about top 5 or 6 in Calder voting, to a 60-point second season with Kaprizov and Zuccarello, that top line that we love so much. He's improved a lot. You can attribute a lot of that to Kirill Kaprizov, but I think if you watched Marco Rossi closely last year, a lot of that was the little things that he did. His board battles at his 5'9" stature are very impressive. When Ek missed a large chunk last season, he was their net front guy on the power play, which you really wouldn't expect, but he has a good touch around there, good game sense. He really was a good man for the job. I enjoy his play quite a lot. He is a decent de facto first-line center because he does have that skill and that hockey sense and passing ability, but he is still missing something, and while some of that can be attributed to height, there is other things as well. At the moment right now, he's hurt. For the first time in his career, he is missing some action, but he's still put up decent numbers in the games that he has played. Although I will say most of those were also... He was playing through injury for quite a while, so his 13 points in 17 games to this point in the season are a little bit... they're underselling his value and his ability.
Exactly.
I'm not going to lie to you.
Now, speaking of a net front presence, we've got
Matt Boldy.
Signs are out of order. We do not have Joel Eriksson. He'll be coming up shortly. We have Matt Boldy here. Matt Boldy, I said this the day his contract was signed, even 2 years ago. I thought this would turn out to be one of the best contracts in the NHL. I could already tell signing someone like Matt Boldy entering their prime to a 7x7 deal would be great, and here we are 2 years later. It is undoubtedly, phenomenal. In my opinion, the best contract in the NHL. Matt Boldy is also up there in scoring. I believe he's 7th or 8th league-wide. Still on $7 million, playing on second line.
Yep.
With Ek, as we mentioned, and Marcus Johansson, who we'll get to soon. Matt Boldy, his scoring pace is also insane. He's shooting for at least a 40-40 goals assists, as well as Kaprizov. So we would have on pace for multiple 40 goal scorers, and one of them is the $7 million maker, Matt Boldy.
Yep.
And I would like to talk about his skating as well. Matt Boldy is my favorite player on the team. He's big, but he doesn't hit like he's big, but he does skate like he's big. He can use his size, and he also has great edge work, among other things. His shooting and deception when shooting is great. Unlike his goal-scoring partner, Kaprizov, Matt Boldy is a demon in these shootouts.
Absolutely.
You can see his clips. He does also have only a couple moves, but he executes them flawlessly.
And beats goalies like it beat Wedgwood here, that we have this example that is from the Colorado game. That was beautiful. That was filthy. Just like basically Matt Boldy as a whole. I did have some gripes with him coming into this year, just that he's got a great shot. He's very skilled with the puck. He's a good shooter, but he did miss the net a lot. And his shooting percentage, I believe, was at about a 9% clip last year, maybe a 10, which just isn't cutting it for a guy of his skill, in my opinion. But that is really the only negative thing you'll ever hear me say about Matt Boldy. Right now, it's at a 13.4. Right now, he's shooting for that 40 and 40 like you talked about. I think he will get there. I've seen more leaps in his game now than before. He is still prone to going cold. He did go 10 games without a goal this season when the Wild were just doing absolutely terrible. But he's phenomenal in all areas of the ice, with the puck, without the puck, offensively, defensively. He's a weapon. Good forechecker. Great on the penalty kill. Great on defense. He's just such a great asset to have. And while I have the moment to just say something very briefly, it's a little bit off topic, but if you take a look at his draft, there's a lot of debate for who the best or second best player is. He's firmly number 2 over a Cole Caulfield, Mo Seider, whoever else you want to put in that conversation. I won't listen. Matt Boldy, the 200-foot game, the scoring ability, the repertoire he has. If you look at his career numbers, I just think he's very clearly just a sensational young player. He's only getting better. He's looking to have a career year this year. Hopefully he can keep on that pace, and that $7 million cap hit is just beautiful. $10 entire million less than Kirill Kaprizov starting next year. That will be great when it comes to, maybe trying to bring somebody in to help bolster this team in off seasons in the future.
I'd like to add too, he's also has 70 multi-point games in 300 total career games, which is pretty insane.
Yeah.
Moving on from the Matt Boldy warranted glaze, we have now who I wanted to get into our another two-way. He's more of his center, does play center, net front presence, Joel Eriksson Ek. He is the blue crease demon of the Minnesota Wild. Joel Eriksson Ek, he has insane defense potential and ability. We saw without him last year, him and Kaprizov, Ek was arguably more impactful for our team. The loss of a defensive two-way center like that, who has also gotten Selke votes in the past.
4 straight seasons, by the way. Top 5 finish in there. Yep.
Yeah, his loss is very noticeable. He's definitely one of the Wild's most useful players. We think of, top shutdown defensemen, top goal scorers. But Joel Eriksson Ek, the two-way center, I like to say this: if there were tertiary assists, he would have 50 a season. He is always there in front of the net, getting a block, goes to the center, come to D, someone else gets to the tip, and then the goal. But Ek will be there, screening, just doing anything he can on the power play, penalty kill as well. He is a two-way center beast.
Big fan of Joel Eriksson Ek. He is fantastic. Like we said, Selke votes. There's always some stats out there, throw them out against the top players from the enemy teams. You got your McKinnons, your Bedards, whoever you want in the division, and you watch their expected goals numbers just tank against him versus the rest of the league. He, Matt Boldy, and the guy we're going to get to next have made for a fantastic shutdown line. You can put pretty much anyone there on their opposite wing, and you will see some good defensive numbers because Boldy and Ek carry that workload so good. I think this picture here of him on top of Fleury perfectly resembles his game. You get him on offense, he can make a decent play in the neutral zone and the high offensive zone, but where he is most useful is out front of the net, taking cross checks to his unpadded back. He's just fantastic. Last year in his 46 games that he did play, he didn't produce to the level we started to expect from him, a couple 20 and 30 goal seasons he's had so far in the past few years. But this year, his 16 points in 26 games, we're trying to see him get kind of, back on track to that level we want from him. He doesn't need to be putting up point per game seasons when he is getting Selke votes and is that dominant shutdown. I love Joel Eriksson Ek, and I hope that $5.25 million cap hit can remain and continue to be as valuable as it has been for the remainder of his contract.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all we've got,
That's all we got.
No complaints about us from Ek.
No complaints.
Now we've got the third member of that line, Marcus Johansson, and boy, has he had a career. He had 2 straight 30-point seasons in full top 6 minutes and game time in the last 2 years of the Wild, 74 and 70 games, and I believe 34 and 30 points. I was done with him. I saw that we re-signed him. I was furious. I was like, he's going to keep Ogren out of the lineup. That's where we were in the offseason, in my personal opinion. I wanted to see him on the 4th line. I wanted to see him in, China or something. I don't know, off the team.
Back to the Iowa Wild.
Straight back. And now here we are, 26 games in. He's got 20 points. He has been playing amazing. He has been that secondary scoring that we've missed so badly, not including Kaprizov and Boldy. We just haven't had any other really consistent producers, especially with the amount of injuries we've had to the Zuccarellos of the world. Marcus Johansson has been exactly what we've needed, and I can't believe I'm saying that out loud.
Yeah, it's crazy too. I had the same feelings about him even end of last year. This is the first season where my Marcus Johansson light has been turned on in my brain. We can see here he's 3rd in goals and assists and point totals on the entire team, despite being a second-line 35-year-old 800K cap hit player.
Crazy
Speaking
value.
of best salaries in the NHL, I'd say Marcus Johansson's probably the best one that's under $1 million, who's not a superstar rookie like some other guys on other teams. Yeah, his point per game pace is
Pretty
season
crazy.
high.
Yep.
He's putting up nearly half a point more this season than any other season, including his prime back in Washington. His goals and assists as well, shooting percentage, and these are all individual stats. He's not getting carried in terms of points by Boldy and Ek. We have not seen if he is capable of being a defense workhorse by himself because he has those other two. But those numbers for scoring are all him.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm very pleased with it. His skating ability too, very smooth. It looks like he's actually figured it out this year that he can just skate and be that guy on the second line. And who knows, that 1,000 games silver stick, maybe he's been playing with it the whole time.
Yep, I do agree. I don't think that his defensive capabilities live up to the level of Ek and Boldy, but he has shown that his offensive ability can. Although I was the world's biggest Marcus Johansson hater coming into this season, he has proven me wrong for sure to this point, and I'm happy to see what he's done. His skating, really, I've always liked that about his game. He just never did anything with it up until this year. Mm-hmm. Now that you're seeing the numbers come in. He's on a career high 63-point, 25-goal pace. And yeah, I guess the only matter at this point is seeing if he can sustain it. I think if you even see him for the last 2/3 of the season producing at half the clip that he has to this point, I would be happy with that. We would see some decent numbers. But obviously, the more the merrier. And if he can continue to produce at this pace, I think we are a much, much, much better and deeper team as a result.
Exactly. It's great to have a middle 6 forward like that who can actually produce.
Yes, true.
Moving on now, we got Ryan Hartman, another middle 6 forward who's not producing so much in terms of goals and assists, but he does produce in rage of the opponents.
Oof.
Ryan Hartman, if you do a fan consensus, he's probably up there top 5 in every fan base, most hated players besides our own.
Yep.
Yeah, Ryan Hartman, he will get on your gear, he will grind your gears, he'll get under your skin. And he will also put up decent numbers. Ryan Hartman is a great forecheck, offensively shut down, as in the opponent, if they can't get out of their zone, they can't score, and he will keep the puck in their zone. He will be annoying. He will be on you. I'm a fan of Ryan Hartman just because of that aspect of the game that the Wild do not have many guys like otherwise.
Yep. Pest, rat, whatever word you want to throw at him, I would say aptly fits the description. I'm a big fan of those style of players. You need them in your game. He is a bit penalty prone at times. This season he's been great. No complaints there. But we did see that suspension on the hit from Stützle off the face-off last year. That really did hurt the team at a time in the year we were very injury prone. But enough about last year. This year, 5 goals, 9 points in 22 games. He's putting up good numbers. The calling card of Hartman has always been that you can plug him in center, wing, anywhere in the lineup, lines 1 through 4, and he will be effective. He's got that style of game. You saw him with Kaprizov and Zuccarello at points in the past where he puts up amazing offensive numbers. He's great. I love Ryan Hartman. He's perfect as a third-line center, which is kind of what he is at the moment. And, all aspects of his games are good. I enjoy Ryan Hartman.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot else to say.
Yeah, and pretty average stats on an average contract. So.
Yep, in an average spot in the lineup, he's not getting a whole lot of power play time, not getting a whole lot of top 6 minutes, and he's still putting up decent supplementary numbers, so no complaints.
Now here we go, another center who does need to be on the top line, as we can see from his language being common with another superstar on the team, Danil Yurov, 23-year-old big Russian center, big being the key word. If he can stay healthy, it looks like he is going to be out for tonight's game. But other than that, if he can stay healthy and continue to grow the way he has been so far this season, I think he'll be the perfect addition for that in-between center spot for Kaprizov. Danil Yurov, he is looking to be a skilled big center, which is exactly what we need.
Again, out for tonight. I think if it was something super serious, we would know by this point. I don't think he'll be out for super long. The way I see it, he is like a Eck. He's just like another Eck on our team. He's big. He doesn't really get dirty in the net front like Eck does, but he really does help support on offense. He's never going to be your main play driver. You do want him with some better players on his line. But when he is with those guys, you will see results happen. He's a smart enough player where he'll make the right pass to the right guy. Defensively, he's a beast. He just is so smart in his positioning and awareness. He's not the most overly skilled or fastest player, but he just does everything very well. You didn't see him get a lot of game time for the majority of his 21 games. You saw him on that fourth line with some less skilled players. He still did put up a couple of goals. And then once you saw him moved up with Kaprizov and Zuccarello, you did see the points start to come in. He's up to 7 in 21 games. And if you look at that ice time, that's pretty impressive. There were certain points where he was sitting below guys like Ogren and Trenyan in time on ice a game. He's not anymore. He's played on that top line. But yeah, Yurov's been fantastic. He does make the long-term future of a guy like Marco Rossi on that bridge deal a little bit more shaky, which is exciting and scary at the same time. Obviously exciting for Yurov fans. He's big, he's good, he's young, he's cheap. I love Danil Yurov.
Yeah, my one gripe with him is he is pretty abysmal on the faceoffs at the moment. He sits at well under 40%, which you never want to see, especially on your top line, where having control of the puck is that much more impactful. But like you said, he's 23 and he's still growing, and I believe faceoffs will be something he can take care of. Cannot get any taller like a certain 5'9" center we have, but we can get better on faceoffs, so I do have high hopes for Yurov.
Like you said, there's he's got some unteachable stuff that game sense. I do think faceoffs is a teachable thing. What I will say is if we come to the end of the year and he's taking most of the reps, most of his game time at center, and that faceoff percentage just can't get over 40%, you'd love to see it in the mid-40s, but if it can't get over or at the low 40s at the very, 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 very least, I would like to see him moved to wing. I think you can move him higher in the lineup, put him at wing, and keep a Marco Rossi, and then just you have a lot more to do with that lineup. He's great no matter where you put him. It's not like he'll be less effective on the wing versus at center. But yeah, good point. Terrible at faceoffs to this point against those NHL centers. Definitely an adjustment he's going to need to make. But we've seen him make other adjustments very quickly. Obviously, faceoffs take more time. Hopefully, he can do that as well. Let's see. You have anything more about Yurov?
That will be all for our Russian center.
And looking next, we have Vladimir Tarasenko, another Russian.
Not quite a center. Tarasenko, he is also up there in age as well. I like to think of him as a slightly better version of Gustav Nyquist that we had last year.
Yep.
If you guys can see from the visual on the right side of the screen, we are not Gustav Nyquist fans.
No, especially me.
Yeah, Tarasenko, he's doing pretty average. He's a good filler, like we signed him for. I would like to see slightly more of him just because he did used to be a superstar back in the day with the St. Louis Blues. His ceiling is much higher than that of a Gustav Nyquist. So it would be nice if come later in the season and potentially playoff time, we could see him put a bit more of an impact on. We did see him at the start of the year playing those top-line power play minutes with Zuccarello out. Since he's moved down and his point totals have also dropped due to that, Minnesota Wild power play merchants.
Yep.
shout out that. Tarasenko, he's a decent player still on a decent contract. So I'm not too unhappy with anything from his game.
Yeah, we took a gamble on him. Literally traded him for nothing. Future considerations. He, like you said early on in the season, in lieu of Zuccarello, was playing a lot of power play minutes. I would say a lot of his points have come on the power play. A bit of a power play merchant, like we were through November to early November. My gripe with Tarasenko at this point has been that while his skating has clearly gone, a lot of other aspects of his game have not. He's only 33. The shot is still very clearly there. I want to see him utilize it more and be able to take more advantage of it. Even though he's going to be in a third-line role realistically for the remainder of the season, I still am expecting a little bit more from him. I want to see him get to the 15, 20 goal mark. That is kind of what we signed him for. We took a big leap on him. I think he's playing with some decent guys like a Hartman and a Yurov or whoever else it may be on that third line where they should be able to get some offense and he should be able to score. He's not like a detrimental player. He's not negative value necessarily, but he is holding a decent spot in the lineup and I'm hoping for more. I can't complain. 10 points, over half a point a game at this point. No complaints from me about Tarasenko, but I definitely want to see more.
Exactly.
Yeah. Up next, speaking of wanting to see more, we've got the fourth line, and what I will say, just to get out ahead of it now, that specifically Trenyan, Foligno, and Sturm line that we saw, I believe against the Winnipeg Jets specifically a couple weeks ago, it was just fantastic. They were terrible to play against. They are your ideal prototypical fourth line. Defensively responsible beasts on the forecheck. You got a center that wins a lot of faceoffs in Nico Sturm. They aren't going to score you a ton of goals at all, and that's not what you're wanting them to do on the fourth line. But regardless of who you put them out against, they're going to make life hell for them. Where do you want to start with these three, Cole? Because I've got plenty to say about other people.
Yeah, I'll create a segue for your favorite player on our team. We're going to start with the current cap hits. As you can see, for a fourth line, they are quite expensive. One of them is an alternate captain, and one of them is a seasoned center in Nico Sturm and Marcus Foligno. We have a third outlier here that I'm sure you have a lot to say about, Yakov Trenyan.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Foligno's cap hit, while he has been great for the team to this point at $4 million, doesn't look so great when you look at the production. But when you put him on the fourth line, you kind of get him out there to be an identity guy. You can sort of justify it. It's not great. I mean, it does have a couple years remaining on it. So I don't love it, but the $3.5 million for Yakov Trenyan, I couldn't hate more. I mean, I don't hate Yakov Trenyan the person. I don't even hate Yakov Trenyan the hockey player, but I hate Yakov Trenyan the idea so much. We took a look at his numbers and said, oh, maybe he can be a 20-goal guy. Brought him in to play on the third line. He played third line minutes pretty much all of last year. It was absolutely horrible. Fail of an experiment. Didn't get his first goal until about January. He was just keeping young guys from getting middle 6 minutes. Finally, we've moved him down to the fourth line. He will stay there. And, I don't hate his game necessarily. He's a terrible finisher. Takes plenty of dumb penalties, but he has been relatively effective in that role this season. I will say something nice. He's leading the league in hits, which is great. But definitely a disappointing contract, failure of a signing. I always say that, we did sign him instead of Brandon Duhaime, who we traded away because his contract is expiring. And while Duhaime takes even more dumb penalties, he outproduces Trenyan tenfold and just he's faster. I just like his game way more, and he's on like half the cap hit, so that pisses me off to this day.
Yeah, 1.775, I believe, for Brandon Duhaime, who is now enjoying the Washington Capitol Ovechkin retirement home.
Yep.
But yeah, Trenyan, we can see here, like you said, he is a terrible finisher. Not just his stats, we can see he has a top 5 expected goals on our team, and he only has 1 goal throughout the entire time. And you can pull up any Yakov Trenyan clip if there are any. You can see he's always there in front of the net. He's gotten several breakaways just from recent games in November. And like you said, he has terrible finishing ability. He cannot, for the life of him, actually get a puck in the net. That will always be a gripe I have with him. He is, I think of Yakov Trenyan, I think of overpaid, terrible finisher. But like you said, leading the league in hits, his physical game and his defensive game which are in part what we signed him for, are pretty good. So I'm not going to be too rough on him, give him praise. Jakob Trennian is definitely a little bit of a problem for us.
Yeah, what I do want to add about the hits before I go on too deep of a rant here, so you can pull me out of this in a second, but those hits, that hits number does also piss me off. It's like, oh look, he's leading the league in hits, who cares about... No, shut the fuck up, seriously. 90% of those hits, in my personal opinion, are behind the net after the defenseman has already broken the puck out of the zone, and he's just finishing a check, which is innocent. I don't really think he's boosting his numbers or anything necessarily. That's a terrible thing to accuse somebody of. But I don't really think there's a whole lot of value and meaning to it. I would rather have a guy that has half as many hits but is twice as effective in other areas than Trennian is, or who takes half as many penalties. I could go on and on about him, but I'll stop. We'll look at the other two guys on the line. We kind of did say our piece a bit about Foligno here, so do you have anything to put about Nico Sturm to his tenure in Minnesota to this point?
Yeah, Nico Sturm, I would love to see him start to develop as a center who can help build our AHL wingers on the fourth line and potentially third line into actual NHL players. I think he's definitely a good building block for those players, and while he does not have the best numbers either, he is fourth liner, so we can't really complain about that. Nico Sturm is definitely just that growth guy.
Yep, he's an identity player.
Veteran growth guy, veteran identity player, like the entire fourth line should be. Yeah, like you said, in total, I think we have a pretty average fourth line, pretty good and ideal guys on it.
Yeah, as much as I will rag on Trennian, and I don't like his cap hit, I'm not a huge fan of Foligno's either, to be perfectly honest, like we were alluding to. You put these three as a collective, I'm excited to see what they can do. I will continue to give my thoughts on them, but for now, we'll move on to some of the players that have filled out the rest of our forward core.
Yes, now starting off with our favorite or second favorite Chicago native, Vinny Hinostroza. He is similar to Hartman in the fact that he's just that guy kind of gets in your face. I call him the engine of our team. He is a one-man army in terms of forecheck. Then we got Liam Ogren. I believe he is starting at the moment, but he is coming in and out of the AHL when players get healthy and get hot. Another guy, like we said earlier with Sturm, that he will be developing under, or I should say to the side as his wing.
Yeah.
Then we got Ben Jones, my favorite, no I'm kidding, maybe top 3 favorite honestly, Minnesota Wild player, Benjamin Jones, 60% face-off win percentage. The best thing Minnesota Wild fans have seen since the absence of Mikko Koivu.
Yeah.
It is against fourth line centers, but there's something to say here about Ben Jones.
I think that face-off percentage is pretty crazy. Let's just not take a look at those point totals. We can cast those off to the side. Hinostroza, like you said, literally a Hartman clone. He does honestly have a little bit more speed to his game. Sometimes I feel like both him and Hartman randomly out of nowhere will pull out some crazy skill, get a really good scoring opportunity, but never finish it. I have seen more of that from Hinostroza this year than Hartman. Great identity guy. Love when we throw him in the lineup. Speaking of guys we throw in the lineup, Liam Ogren, he's probably that first injury call up, in my opinion. Good young guy. Honestly, the only reason I even want to talk about him is because I think he would probably be the first guy to get traded if we did go for a big asset at the deadline. He is still holding value. He's been fantastic in the AHL each of the last 2 seasons. And I hope to see him get opportunities in the future for us. I do really like his game, but for now, I don't see him as anything more than a trade chip for this current 25-26 roster. Ben Jones, I don't really have anything to say besides all the glazing that you did. And then Tyler Pitlick, he did recently go on waivers. Nobody claimed him. That basically tells you all you need to know about him. Not really a fan. I don't like seeing him in the lineup when you could see other players, but he has seen a lot of game time due to our subsequent and our plentiful injuries. So unless you have anything more to add, I'm going to move us on to our defensemen.
Let's get it started.
We're going to get it started with Brock Faber himself. Brock Faber, $8.5 million cap hit. You could say what you want about the contract. I think he played like an $8.5 million player, if not more, his rookie year. Last year, I would say definitely not. The point totals dipped. His overall game dipped. But this year, I think we're seeing him build on that rookie season and become even better. You look at that stat line, 15 points in 26 games. I think that's fantastic, especially for a defenseman. He is just a minutes eater, even still right now, leading the team in minutes in all situations. He's put up some good offensive numbers. He's a great shutdown defenseman. I just adore his game and adore him as a person. I mean, look at him in those glasses. He's such a cutie. He does suffer from some bad underlying numbers because he does always get those matchup minutes. I like to see those get bumped up a bit, but I'm not going to hold those too high against him. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm not. You can turn that any way you want. What do you want to say about Brock Faber?
Yeah, like you said, he is the leading our team in minutes, and I believe he's top 5 in the entire league in minutes as well. And we have to remember he is still 23, so he's not that young, but he is still just now starting his potential. We all had very high hopes for him after that phenomenal rookie year where I believe he definitely should have won the Calder. I believe.
yeah.
We all know what Connor Bedard's doing now, but I think that was a lot of what-if votes.
I agree
Bedard's
fully.
First season. I think everyone, if not for Connor Bedard, Brock Faber would easily have been the most talked about player. So there was a very high expectation set for him, and he definitely, like you said, did not meet those second year. I think he's getting back up there. I would say, since we're quarter of the way through the season, I would say he could surpass that pretty comfortably in terms of just skill and shutdown ability. Maybe not his point totals, but he is a defenseman. The word defense does not equate to scoring goals, as some, we can give some examples.
Norris voters like to think.
Yeah, it's all, Kel McCarr point pace, that's all they look at. Granted, he is a generational defenseman.
He's super good on defense, too. Love Kel.
But they only talk about his point totals, which is not the main focus of defensemen. Brock Faber is that defensive shutdown matchup minute eating guy that we need.
He's nowhere near there yet. I will just say one more thing now that you've kind of got my mind working on that. But he does remind me, especially his rookie year, of Ryan Suter. You get him kind of into the high scoring areas. You get him on the puck. It's like a black hole. You're going to drag him down there into the pits with you. He's going to come out with it. He's not this physical dominant hitting force, but he will rub up on you on the boards and he will take the puck. I love Brock Faber. And like you said, he's never going to really get serious Norris consideration because I feel like his ceiling is maybe mid-50s. You're going to see a certain other defenseman get all the power play time, so he's not going to score that much. But I think he's got a couple high 40s, low 50s seasons in him. I would love to see those sooner rather than later and see more of them rather than less. But yeah, not going to be a guy that's going to win you a Norris because that's not what people look at, and I don't like that. But I will give Brock Faber all the love and respect he deserves here on this channel. I know you will too. Anyways, moving on to his partner for the majority of the year, we've got Jonas Brodin.
Jonas Brodin, he is, he's old but gold. He is only 32, but he seems at times to be older than that because he can be injured a lot of the times. But Jonas Brodin, he is that guy in the Wild who, since we have signed him, he's never been that guy where you'd be like, oh, Jonas Brodin made a terrible play. Or Jonas Brodin, oh, he had a great game. He's always just going to be that above average, reliable defenseman. I'd say above average is underselling. He is a good, reliable defenseman pretty much every game. Jonas Brodin, we can see his numbers too. He is right there with Brock Faber in terms of time on ice. Definitely lower on some of the other categories, just because he will never be a superstar like that. But I like Jonas Brodin. I think he's a very good defenseman.
Yep.
You can sum that up.
He is like that point I made about Brock Faber and Norris votes and just really putting the defense and defensemen on steroids. He's not going to give you anything offensively. His career highs and points are kind of miserable to look at, to be perfectly honest, but he has been such a blessing to have for the majority of my Wild viewing career. You don't really notice him, but that's kind of a great thing. When you will notice him is when he is gone from our team eventually. He's just an effortless skater, effortless on the breakout, always making the right decision. You put him out there against a guy like Connor McDavid, and he doesn't even have the speed to match him, but he kind of shuts him down. Kind of always done that. Him and the next guy we're going to talk about, 2 of the probably 3 or maybe 5 most underrated defensemen of the last 15 years. Love Jonas Brodin. He definitely has been a perfect partner for Brock Faber to this point in his career. While Faber's kind of working through some growing pains, Brodin has just been his solid, consistent self since he was Faber's age. No injuries so far this year. We'll knock on wood there. And he's been just the usual Brodin and shown that he has not been slowed down by those just yet. Mr. Reliable.
Moving on to his slightly older,
slightly less reliable
partner. Jared Spurgeon, he has seen it all. He is the captain of the Minnesota Wild sinking ship.
Yep. You can see there on the right, that is him in the 10-year anniversary jersey, and then him on the left showing that he can still do it. He still got it.
Still got it.
Yep, but that production, though, that maybe he doesn't still got it. That he was never a super offensive defenseman. I guess at his peak when he was that probably top 10 level guy in the league that no one really cared about, he wasn't scoring a ton of points, but now he is not really scoring much of any at all. That slap shot that he got him a bunch of points back in the days and doing it so much. Super injury prone. This year he's been a great leader. Hasn't had injuries again. Boom. Led that all-player meeting that did turn the season around to this point. Still eating up a bunch of minutes, still solid, looking like a second pair, number 3 kind of guy. Great to have, even at this stage in his career, even at that $7.575 million cap hit. I like Jared Spurgeon. He has been a constant ever since I started watching this miserable team, and I will miss him when he's gone, but at this stage you can kind of see him starting to get up there past all those injuries and surgeries.
Yeah, I mean, he's our captain. I think he'd be a great one if he stayed healthy. Yeah, that's kind of the underlying issue with Spurgeon that we've always had.
Big ifs.
And the fact that he is now old, unlike the next defenseman we'll talk about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's not old either. Jake.
Not as old.
Jake Middleton.
Technical difficulties. The sides are slightly out of order, guys. Do not worry.
Jake Middleton.
Jake, Ottawa 6'7's Middleton.
Yep. He's great. He's great. As you can see here, last pick of the 2014 draft, so technically one before McDavid. He's been quoted as saying that. I think that's pretty hilarious, pretty great. Describes the guy very well. Coming into this year, he was on talking about cap hits again, about a $2.4 million cap hit. We've got him in a shitty, nothing trade from San Jose, and he was fantastic. Always filled in on the middle pair. Even played some top pair minutes, and we were super injured without Brodin and Spurgeon. And he's just been great, amazing value. Now, he's on about double the salary, sitting at about $4.35 million. Still on that second pair. He is great. He's good. I still really like him. I'll get into more lineup-related stuff that he does cause later on, but he's been good, and he's been good again this year. He had a terrible start to the season, horrible October, but then in November, he went about 10 games, I believe, with Jared Spurgeon without giving up a 5-on-5 goal, and that was fantastic. Those two have amazing chemistry. They've been playing together since he came to Minnesota, and while he does not have the defensive ability of a Jared Spurgeon or Jonas Brodin, he does show more in the offensive zone than either of those guys, and it's kind of a give and take with him. He is your middle pairing stalwart on the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, as his name suggests, Jake Middleton.
Yep.
He will always be that middle pair guy, hopefully for the foreseeable future. And now for a top pair, who I believe we'll actually be talking about now.
Zeke
William himself.
I mean, if you can read anything on here on this page, yep. He's Mr. Power Play right now. The way he's used kind of does infuriate me because he does get put on that bottom pairing alongside guys that don't do anything offensively. We're kind of just sheltering him a bit, which I don't really think he needs. I don't think that's how you learn the best at the NHL level. I don't love seeing Jake Middleton as much as I do like him ahead of him in the lineup. I want to see him with the big boys, with the Spurgeons or Fabers of the world, and show what he can do. He had such a great start to the year when we were power play merchants. Still looking really good. Obviously, you take a look at the numbers. It's a tale of two things. Offensive stats, he's really high up there. He's usually number one. Defensive stats, he is definitely not. He's usually towards the bottom. There's a lot to learn there. I do think his defensive game has some upside. He's not going to be a Faber caliber defender, but he doesn't need to be. Hopefully they play alongside each other. I just want to see him get trusted some more so he can kind of climb up this list here that I've got on this page of all-time leading point seasons for the Wild. Yep, love me some Zeev Buium. Love him out there on the power play. I think he's such a dynamic weapon offensively, something we've never had in our entire franchise's history, to be honest, and we just need to see some more of it already, even though he's only 19 and it's only his rookie season.
Yeah, talking about his weapon capabilities, we can see him. I do like going back to that Islander escape. There's a lot of Zeev Buium zone entries where he can just walk the entire team through the blue line into the zone. We've seen him now. John Hines has finally started to trust him again on that quarterback defenseman power play where he can do that zone entry by himself. He does it on 5-on-5 too, oftentimes. But like you said, I think the biggest thing we need for his growth is just get him in there more. It looks like, after that couple abysmal games against the Golden Knights last year in the playoffs, it seems Mr. Johnny Hines does not seem to trust him too much. But it's a quarter of the way through the regular season. I think we just need to keep giving him more minutes. And like you said, he can turn into that elite offensive defenseman that he should be. And I think, like you said, he's still a rookie. I think he definitely has potential for a Calder winning season if there wasn't a certain Matthew Schaefer in the NHL right now.
Yeah, and if he actually got to play.
And if he got to play, you can't win the Calder with 10 minutes on ice per game.
Yeah.
Steve William, he is that offensive guy right now.
He is that guy, period. Like you said, with the zone entries, I think the perfect thing to encapsulate Steve Williams' NHL career so far is what I've seen him do just about 1 or 2 times every game, usually even on 5-on-5, where he'll take it from our end, he'll carry it through the neutral zone with supreme confidence, he'll walk it into the offensive zone where he's got that box of 4 guys usually around him, and instead of dumping it in or just making a super smart play, he just loses the puck sometimes, makes a wasteful play. That decision making that isn't exactly NHL caliber just yet. I think that's something he's gonna learn. He's learned better at. He kind of looks sometimes like he's eager to get rid of the puck once those bigger guys get to him. You just want to see him adjust and shift his mindset. Because he has the skill to do it, and he has the skill to make the right play. I think if he's given that more time, like we're talking about, he can do it. Because right now, the people he's playing alongside with aren't doing it for him. Yeah, we've got...
The rest, we'll start off with his primary line mate. For whatever reason, Zach Bogosian. Steve William is fast, and Unk Bogosian is slow.
Steve William is good on offense, and Unk Bogosian is not. He never has been. He never will be. Maybe he will be next year when he's playing in the fucking beer leagues. I can't stand Zach Bogosian. I used to love him when he was on the Sabres and Lightning winning Stanley Cups. Not on the Sabres. But now he's playing with them, and he sucks. Yeah, did you have anything more you wanted to say about Zach fucking Bogosian?
Yeah, usually you throw someone offensive, you throw someone defensive, but you do not throw that offensive person with what could be his dad on defense. That is, like you said, beer league play style right there. That'd be me playing with my dad on defense, and I don't even play defense.
Yep.
Steve William needs to get away from these guys and get a better player on his team, and please, for the love of God, get rid of Zach Bogosian. Get rid of David Jiricek, too. Keep Damon Hunt. We like Damon Hunt. He is 6. Jiricek is 7.
Yeah.
Get rid of the rest. Luckily, they're all expiring this year. Mr. Minimum Wage, Damon Hunt, can stay. We do like him.
I will say, I do, like you said, Damon Hunt, really like him. I think he's shown a lot of poise back there in the games that he's played. He did look good with Steve William on a third pairing. I didn't mind it when it was those two together, unlike Bogosian. He's good. I will say that David Jiricek, while we acquired a lot to get him, it just was a more quantity over quality of assets. Hunt was the main player we traded, who we obviously got back. That first round pick might be whatever if their Russian goalie that they took with that pick turns out to be good, but I'm not too worried about goalies, as we'll talk about in just a second here. But Jiricek himself, I am a believer. I still am, to be perfectly honest. He hasn't done anything for us at the NHL level. I'm not delusional. I'm not stupid. But that offensive upside is there. The defensive decision-making, the skating really isn't. But when you're that big, I think you need a lot of time to grow into that. You've got a lot of time to develop some of that decision-making and other stuff at the AHL level. We just need some time. I think he's going to get another deal, probably spend lots of time in Iowa. But big guys, they need a lot of time. You look at this is a terrible comparison because they don't play anything like each other, but Joe Thornton, he was drafted first overall, and everybody's like, whoa, what's he doing? He's not very good for the first several years in Boston. It took him quite a while to blossom into the Hall of Famer he eventually became. And while David Jiricek is certainly no Hall of Famer that Joe Thornton is, or even like a tenth of the player at his peak, probably, I don't know. I think he could be a middle bottom pairing guy for us in the future. I really am a believer.
I'm still not. I think he's slow like Bogosian, but
yeah.
I think the rest of your points still stand. I do think the speed will be hard to build, but everything else you said,
that's never coming.
Yeah. I think
We'll see.
I admit it, we do need bottom pair defensemen.
We'll see.
So.
I'm just glad they took a swing, I guess,
Yeah.
on a guy. They usually don't. But now we'll go from shaky, bad, to not shaky, very good. We'll start with Jesper Wallstedt in the goaltending tandem.
The Wall of St. Paul.
Where do I even begin? Look at those save percentage, goals against average. First of goalies that have played a minimum of 9 games. He's just been great. Shown so much poise. Everybody kind of doubted him, gave up on him. You saw him falling in those goalie prospect rankings after his first great draft year +1 AHL season. I'm very glad to see him doing good. I think his confidence got shot, but now it's back. He's been great, better than ever. 3 shutouts. Rookie of the month in November. Good stuff. But I will say one thing here. I was looking at these numbers that I've pulled up here. You look at that high danger save percentage above expected. He is dead last. That is definitely, that's either an outlier or something you definitely want to look at. We've got him starting against the Oilers tonight, so we'll see how that goes. That'll kind of help us figure out which one of those outlier or not it is. But either way, even still, that sample size isn't big enough. I could not say a bad thing about Jesper Wallstedt right now. He's so great. He's so good.
Yeah, like you said, Rookie of the Month in November, 6-0-0, 3 shutouts, including some phenomenal pictures and clips, like you guys saw in the first
celebration.
Slide. Jesper Wallstedt, first in the league in save percentage goals allowed in November. He was even higher than that with a .99, I believe, goals allowed average and save percentage nearly .980.
Crazy
He's been
stuff.
phenomenal, and he is definitely making Philip Gustafsson, who we'll talk to shortly, question his role as the 1A goalie.
Sweat a little, yeah. I think they've kind of made each other better this year even, and that's been great. Yeah, I just want to see more Jesper Wallstedt, especially with that confidence. Even when he's letting in goals, I think he's just got a better mindset. I think his best game of the year is where he let in 3 against Carolina. So many saves, really kept us in it. He's just been so good, and he's instilled so much confidence in himself and the players in front of him when he's starting. Talking about that 1A, we've got Philip Gustafsson, the Gus Bus, the goalie goal himself. This year, especially in October, he was off to a horrible start. We saw Wallstedt outperforming him. Even in those terrible October games, he got most of the points out of us in October. And in November, as good as Wallstedt was, Gustafsson was damn good too. His numbers are really starting to climb back up there. He's over his .900 save percentage on the season, which is really impressive considering he was sitting at about an .860 after October. He's played quite a bit more than Wally this year, which is just fine, and he's looked pretty good doing it. Still a Gus fan, still a Gus believer. I'd love to see them go, probably split the starts even, 41-41 if I could have it my way. Last year, he played in the high 50s, and while that was great, there were some games where it was just like, holy shit, this guy's just playing too much. He's playing as much as the Sorokins and Shesterkins of the world. He's not a Sorokin or Shesterkin. His ceiling is probably a top 5 to 10 starter in the league, and he has been that in certain seasons. But I don't need him to be that when we have a Jesper Wallstedt. I want to see them both play. I want to see them be the best goalie tandem in the league that I know that they can be.
Yeah, I would say, like you said, Gus, he can tend to fold under that immense pressure of starting 50s. And if we had, for whatever reason, made a terrible pick with Wallstedt and had him playing, around 20 games, we'd have to play Gus even more.
Yeah.
We cannot play him that much, but he is great when, like you said, he's around that low 40s range, that 41-41 split, which I believe we could accomplish easily next season.
Even this season.
Even this season, if we get Wallstedt in there more, I think Gus will definitely be great. He's definitely not as great under pressure, despite the high danger save percentage being higher. Well, still bad than Wallstedt.
Better in a bigger sample size, I'll take that.
He's definitely more of a momentum player. As we can see in his shootout performance against the Sabres, he did let in 3 out of 4 goals, 2 of which I think easily would have been saved by Wallstedt. So he's definitely in that small sample size of shootouts. I don't think he's that good. But like we've seen in recent years, I'd like to go back to that, I believe it's 22-23 playoff series against the Stars where we made over 55 saves or something in one game. We have seen that Philip Gustafsson, he is a very good goalie, definitely higher than middle of the pack goaltender, and he's coming back in November like the rest of the team is. So yeah, I still like him.
Yep. I mean, when he's on, he's on. Yeah, he's great. Like you're saying that Dallas thing, but that Buffalo game, fantastic. He was great. Buffalo outperformed us, as we'll look at in a little bit here. But he was really good. He got us that point, but then he did lose us the other one in the shootout, in my personal opinion. When Kirill Kaprizov is scoring in the shootout, you're expecting to get that second point, and we didn't. And I do blame plenty of that on Philip Gustafsson. And I think it does speak to him very well. You know, you go into a playoff series, especially in this division when you have Connor Hellebuck and Jake Ottinger, you want to have like undying faith in your goalie and that he's the best goalie in the series. And then if he gets hot, he can win you a series. And while we've seen Gus play well in the playoffs, I don't really have that level of faith in him, whereas I could see myself having that level of faith in a Jesper Wallstedt. And I think that's just worth keeping in the back of our minds. Maybe not necessarily this year, but down the road. I have a lot of interesting thoughts on our tandem. I'll just say that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Moving on from our goaltenders, mostly positive things to say, which is great. Must be nice coming from any Oilers fans.
Yeah, see you guys tonight.
So our lines, let's take, I've actually not seen these yet. So we got Kaprizov and Zuccarello centered by Rossi, Johansson, Boldy centered by Ek, as we've seen. You're off on the wing with Hartman and Tarasenko.
You could flop those around probably. I just set it up like that. And then your fourth line, like we've talked about, Trennian, Sturm, and Foligno. We can kind of go just very briefly here. I do want to move on to some other stuff. Line by line. We talked a lot about all these guys just now. That first line, you know, you've got lots of skill there. They were one of the best lines in the league last year when Kaprizov was playing like a Hart Trophy winner in the first half before he got hurt. Second line, that's been our line of the season. I think that's our engine room right there. If they fail, the team does. I don't really see that happening, but you never know. Our third line, you could swap Urov and Hartman around, but with the face-off winning percentage, you obviously, I think, would want Hartman there. I think you get decent production from those guys on paper. I just really, 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 really need to see it actually happen in game. And then that fourth line, you're not getting shit offensively, but they will not give up shit either, and that's great.
We got enough offense in the top two lines.
Yep, yeah. And then we're looking at the defense and goaltending. We've got Brody and Faber, which is like a defenseman fans' wet dream right there. They're so great. You've got Middleton and Spurgeon, who have unbelievable chemistry together. And then you've got Bouillon and Bogosian on the third pair. And that expression is exactly how I feel too. The goalies, if we look at those cap hits, that's pretty great. Obviously, we go back to Gustafsson here. He is going up to about $6.8 million moving forward, which could be interesting. I don't think he has a no trade clause. Also, could be interesting. Not really worth talking about now, but worth noting. And yeah, I guess we will transition now into our reality checks here. And I think looking at these lines is perfect for my first hot take, my first reality check. We aren't winning the Stanley Cup this season. You know what?
Shocker.
We might not. I know, crazy to say. But we are in a contention window. We have signed Kaprizov to that crazy deal. I think we're starting to see those expectations heighten. But this year, it's not happening. And I just want to make sure for those, in case there's any delusional people out there, to let them know it's not happening. I don't even think we would win a round. I'm not so confident. You look at the teams in our division, while Winnipeg has looked terrible, I'm not 100% confident we beat them in a series. I'm not 100% confident at all we beat either Dallas or Colorado. So what, we play somebody in the other division in the wild card spot again, like last year? How'd that go? Yeah, you just look at the construction of this roster right now, and in the bottom six, you don't get a ton of production, and you do have a ton of higher-end cap hits, especially for the positional value. I think a perfect representation of why we're not winning anything this year was that Tarasenko sign, and you took a big leap on a guy like that who is just older, and instead of going for a really, really high-end guy and putting a Johansson in that third line, who still probably could have done good things and added more production, look at what we're seeing right now, we went with kind of stagnating and just going for a guy that's a placeholder. And if we have placeholders on our team, are we really like our best version of ourselves, the Stanley Cup winner? I don't really think so.
Yeah, and I'd say moving on just from this year too, we have, when guys like Zuccarello and Johansson do eventually age out, we have a very clunky roster where we have very good players in their prime, like Kaprizov or Boldy entering his prime as well. Ek, I would say, although his prime's not flashy, he's in his prime. Rossi is entering. But then if we're to be a Stanley Cup winning team with actual forward depth, we need to remove almost half our roster and replace them.
Yeah.
Like you said, especially that bottom line with the cap hit, taking nearly $10 million on a fourth line. They are good, but they are not worth that much. And if we want more talent, we're going to have to get rid of some of the lack of talent.
Yeah, and just, I think, like you said, moving forward, replacing Zuccarello, replacing Johansson, replacing Tarasenko, that's going to be pretty serious. You look on the back end, you got to replace Spurgeon at some point. Brodin is a little bit further down, but you do have to replace them. Yeah, it's just you're kind of not super confident. I do like the core. I do like the heart of our roster. I love our goaltending, but this year is not going to be it, and I'm cautiously excited to see what we're going to do moving forward. What's your first reality check here, Cole?
Yeah, so we're going to move on to the infamous Minnesota Wild penalty kill. I'd say even more infamous than our power play. So our special teams, whether it's a coaching thing, or I should say it is a coaching thing, because we do have that talent on defense and on forwards to be a very good penalty killing team, but our penalty kill is stagnant. We have the box formation, but we let people get in way too close. We're always giving up high danger chances, which neither of our goalies are good against. No. So we have the guys, but we do not have the setup for it, and I think that is mainly a coaching thing, which, in theory could be fixed. A lot of our pieces outside of our roster are a bit questionable. We got rid of Dean Evanson after one bad stretch with all of our guys out.
Still not a fan of that.
John Hines, he's sucking Garen off in the office or something because he's made some bad decisions, and we're holding on to him. Garen too, he's made some questionable signings, but whoever owns the Wild, I don't fucking know.
Jordan Leopold, I think.
That guy.
Craig, sorry.
Craig Leopold, he's getting sucked up too. They got a whole train going on.
Yeah.
The penalty kill, I believe, sits under 80% near the bottom of the league. The power play has also dipped down to a more maintainable 25-ish% over that 40% we saw at the beginning of the league or our season with a very small sample size.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is something, it's been like that for multiple seasons too with different guys, so I think that definitely does equate to a coaching issue. If we can just fix that, we could fix our special teams, and like you said, going back to winning, special teams is very important in the playoffs because you're going to have people playing at their best abilities, and with people and playoff teams playing at their best abilities, you have the guys like McKinnon and McCarr and Natchez on Colorado. You can have like Rantanen, Robertson, Johnson, Heiskanen on the Stars. Even Jets, you can have like Scheifele and Connor. If you have those guys lit up on the power play and our stagnant penalty kill just lets it happen, we're going to be losing every series.
I would say that it did lose us the series against Dallas. I think we did a decent job against Vegas last year, but yeah, you look at the previous seasons, let's just take a look back at this roster here on the forward group. Foligno is a good forechecker, pretty good two-way still at this point in his career. Sturm is an elite penalty killer. Ek is an elite two-way player. Bollied is an elite two-way player. You look on the back end, you've got Brodin, Faber, Spurgeon, Middleton. All those guys can kill penalties. I would argue all of them can do it at an exceptional level, but they don't. This year and the 2 years before it, so John Hines' entire tenure, they have been a lot lower than they should have been on the league-wide penalty kill percentage rankings. This year, finally, the power play has started to turn around. I wonder why. I wonder what defensive piece we added to help change that a little bit. But yeah, it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating to see that continue to stagnate, and I would agree with you that it is a coaching issue. We'll move on here to my second take, and this one's a little bit more interesting, a little bit more spicy. Roster. We're definitely moving back to the roster. I'm going to say that we need a winger more than we need a center. And that might sound crazy flying off the handle here, but let's take a look at our center situation. You've got Rossi and you've got Ek on our top two lines. In the immediate future, I know Rossi's long-term future isn't like set, signed, sealed, and delivered, but in the immediate future, those are our top six centers. You're not going to do anything else with that. To supplement that, we have Hartman, and we have Sturm, and we have Yurov as well, who also has been playing a lot of center, who we would like to see continue to play center and ideally boost those face-off numbers up. I don't really see a spot for a super elite first line center unless we trade away a Marco Rossi in that package, which I don't really see happening. The Mikko Rantanen type of blockbuster doesn't just happen in the NHL every year. I don't expect it to start, and I don't expect it to do with our team, with our group. So you look at the available guys. You could even see maybe a Kiefer Sherwood, Rocket winner in the future, of course. A Brock Besser who we almost signed, and Vancouver's just in such a shit show that they'll probably trade both of those dudes. My favorite personally, Alex Tuck, former Wild player, former Wild prospect and draft pick.
Back.
I would love to see him there. I would love to see him be the Zuccarello/Johansson replacement, to see our top six just become that much better with a guy like him in there. I think that makes a lot more sense for the current build of our team than signing us or adding a center does. You come to the off season, we can start talking about those centers, but right now, I think a winger is what we should look for.
Yeah, I agree. While our center situation isn't great, our winger situation, especially coming soon, is going to be abysmal.
Yeah.
So I think we do need that. And there's also been the blockbuster trade of the year has already been filled out in that Mitch Marner signing. So the Minnesota, I don't like to make good trades that actually pay out and aren't signing 35-year-old players. Wild will not be doing that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. The winger talent on our team is good, but it's not going to be good for super long. We're going to have two, as we've talked about, top six spots open. That center, I don't really see that happening at center. I'll take a wing, please.
Yeah, moving back to another position in our roster, we're going to be going back to our favorite Swedish player, Marcus Johansson. I would like to briefly touch more on him, and I also would like to touch him, kind of. Like, he's majestic the way he skates. Anyways, moving on to that, Marcus Johansson, his shooting percentage, we did not touch on that too much, but going back to this fact, he is first on the team, 21%. And when we were making these stats originally a couple weeks ago, it was sitting at 22. It has not really dropped. It is starting to look more sustainable than it was when we first looked at that 22. I think Marcus Johansson is a sneaky comeback player of the year vote if they had that in the NHL.
We need to add it.
Shout out Joe Burrow.
He would win it in the NHL too.
He's not an old Swedish man. I don't know if you saw that Bengals and Ravens game, but yeah, Joe Burrow, Unk still got it too. Marcus Johansson, he really is that guy, and I just wanted to segment this into more Marcus Johansson glaze. Like, I've never switched up on my day ones, aka fellow Marcus Johansson haters, so fast. I would like to say if we could even see some crazy performance from him in the playoffs, if we get there and then get rid of him the next year for a crazy trade.
Optimal. That
would be optimal. Get rid of the old player who just had a great season instead of signing the old player who just had a great season. Because I do not think with all this silver stick, puck luck, skill, whatever you want to call it, devil pack, whatever thing he signed, along with that silver stick at that awards, I don't think it's going to last more than one season, maybe two, but we'd have to, re-sign him again.
Yeah, so here I'll just go for some scenarios here. Best case scenario with Marcus Johansson. He is not a 21% shooter, so we'll say he kind of sits at that mid to high teens, 15 to 18, even 19% for the season. He finishes on that pace of 25 goals, 63 points that we highlighted earlier. He goes into the playoffs. He continues to supplement with that secondary scoring. Sure, we went around, maybe two. And then we let him go. Worst case scenario, it continues a little bit. You see him get to the 20s for goals, maybe high teens. You see him get to the mid 40s, maybe low 50s for points. He doesn't do a whole lot in the playoffs. He falls off a bit, just like his numbers do to end the regular season. And then we sign him again. And I could totally see both things happening. I'm really worried that we're going to sign him again because I know for a fact the second that we do, he's going to go right back to that 30-point player.
Yep.
I think his time's got to be done here. I'm not too worried about it, but, come June, I might be. I think he's great this year. I'm going to enjoy the ride while we're on it, and hopefully we get off it this summer.
Yeah, you pass that season pass of ride tickets of the Marcus Johansson trade onto another unsuspecting team.
Yeah, or he retires.
Get a, like you said, top line. Send him over to some sort of retirement home. They put him back in the NFL with Joe Burrow, send him to the Cleveland Browns or something. Yeah, Marcus Johansson, let's get some value out of him, Bill Guerin, if you're listening, which you should be.
Yep, we know everything.
We know everything.
So moving on there, now we'll go back to my third and final hot take. Third, like, reality check, call it what you want. Currently right now, I really don't like John Hines, but I'm a little bit more okay with Bill Guerin. His drafting has been good, so I've liked that. I like what he brings as, like, a person, but signings and trades, he's not giving the team what it needs. We could go look at that roster for the 1,000th fucking time. I don't think we need to. You look at his history of what he's gotten for us, it's just big, old, slow. I don't think that's what we need. I like size as much as the next hockey fan, but we just don't. I need to see more top-end skill. We're not signing any needle movers. Vladimir Tarasenko, Yakov Trenin, trading for Justin Brazeau. I'm just not excited with what I'm seeing, and I'm worried with having the best player in our franchise history in Kirill Kaprizov, probably the best core in our franchise's history by a long shot, that we're not getting the managerial help that we need via trades and free agency signings. And currently, we're definitely not. I'm just worried looking ahead to the future.
Yeah, it seems like Guerin's just he's trying to keep us relevant just forever instead of, a couple of years ago we could have been tanking. We were mid then. Right now we should be in our prime. We're mid now. November proving otherwise. But point still stands from October and last season. Guerin's just keeping us at an average team. The signings we are making are average players, keeping us average. And yeah, like you said, we just need some more elite skill needle movers. We need some actual risk taking with the signing, and then we can get some risk taking with that winning.
Yeah, I would agree. Yep, I just want to see more. That's it.
Yeah, now, so moving on to the last take before we take a look around the league. I would like to say, if you guys are familiar with Minnesota sports, we like our one-score games. Minnesota Vikings, especially, Minnesota sports in general, we do like setting useless records. One score, 11-1, whatever.
2022 Vikings, never forget.
The reason this is relevant, the Minnesota Wild, despite only being at 26 games played, they've already had 11 overtime games. 5 of them being losses, overtime merchants. We do like that extra point, which we'll get on soon about why that is fucking stupid. Yeah, the Wild, we like that low-scoring, one-goal lead type of play that can often lead to, if any mistake happens, an overtime scenario, which we should not be in the first place. And while we do have a plus 500 record in overtime, which is nice to see, especially in the shootout, shout out Jesper Wallstedt. There's a lot of games where we should just be closing out in regulation, whether it be an empty net goal earlier, which we do have guys for. But I think even earlier than that, we should just be in a situation where we don't need an empty net goal. I think we do have a lot of trouble playing a full 60 minutes of hockey. There's a lot of times where we can come out in the first, be incredible there, and then the next 40 we're just, kind of subpar. Other times, too, we'll come out flat-footed, have a great second period, end flat-footed, lose or go to overtime when we're out playing at least for one of those periods, or playing a much worse team in the Sabres. So yeah, I think we just need to keep the foot on the pedal and just keep pumping away for a full 60 minutes, and then we can solve that problem of that overtime dilemma.
Yeah, we have let too many games get to overtime against teams like the Sharks, the Sabres. Too many one-score, too many close games. We are better than that for sure. Yeah, speaking of those one-score close games, let's take a look at our last week of games here. We'll do a little bit of a week in review. Real quick here, we will start with the game against Chicago. I believe that was on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. As you can see here, looking at some of these advanced numbers, while we did get that overtime win, Chicago outplayed us, really. You take a look at all the advanced stats. They outscored us on expected goals about 5-3. Their players outplayed our players. As far as chances goes, they really fucked us in the first period. 20-5 in shots.
Flat-footed.
Yep, they beat us in the face-off, face-offs easily. They're not really a face-off team. Yeah, we got outplayed by the Chicago Blackhawks. That's something I'm not proud to say. We got the win, so I'll take that, but it wasn't a great performance to start the week. It was kind of shaky. And now, we'll go from that to the exact opposite. Another extra point, extra time win, but instead, we were the better team against the Colorado Avalanche. We outperformed them. We had more expected goals than them, although it was a little bit tight. While we did get hemmed in the face-off zone again, I mean, we were 40% clip there. We got more opportunities, and we looked like the better team, and we were the better team, and we won because of it against the Colorado Avalanche. Do you have anything on that game?
Yeah, I would say definitely that was one of our best performances, stopping the movable object in the 10-game win streak. By far top in the league, Colorado Avalanche. We really shut them down in large parts due to our goaltending and did have that slight edge in expected goals. I think it was just a phenomenal game played in one of those games that should go into overtime reasonably, and that we thankfully did end up taking to the shootout to win.
Yeah.
A shout out Nathan McKinnon for not knowing how to put an actual move on the goalie and just stick handle a bunch.
Yeah, that was pretty miserable. Now we're going to go to the Minnesota Wild, just the NHL Classic, back-to-backs. I'd love to not be too hard on the team, but when we get shit on this hard by the Buffalo Sabres, that's pretty embarrassing. They were better than us. Thank you, Philip Gustafsson, like we said, for getting us to overtime in the shootout, although you did eventually pretty much lose it for us when that shootout came. I'll take what I can get that 1 point. Second night of a back-to-back after a great win. I'm not going to go too crazy, but it was the Sabres, man. I want to see 2 points. I don't care if we just played the Avalanche. I want to see 2.
Yeah, if you look at the stats, they had one line have way more expected goals than our entire team.
Yeah.
Which is not great. I mean, granted, if you guys saw their goals at all, their first one was off a kind of weird rebound, and the second one, himself, Zuccarello, decided to slide into our own net, give him a little gift, fresh baked cookies into the oven from Zuccarello.
Yeah.
But I think if you want to talk about luck, that is not a game we should have won in the first place.
No.
They should have had goals besides those. And you can go into the shootout too. You can be like, oh, Zuccarello, he could have scored there. Unk fanned on it. Unk did a lot of things wrong, but we did not deserve to win that game because we played like shit. So it wasn't matter at the end of the day.
No, yeah, I mean, like you said, I do think, looking at the goals that they did score, Gustafsson gave us 60 minutes of a performance that should have won a game from his standpoint, but we still didn't deserve to win it from a team standpoint. You look at this expected goals chart, especially on 5-on-5. So terrible, so horrible against the Buffalo Sabres themselves. You can take a look here at that identity line really kicking, and also Middleton and Spurgeon being our best pairing in the month of November. They were the only ones that really did much of anything at all on 5-on-5, whereas the Sabres were just absolutely cooking us. Shout out Alex Tuck. Can't wait to see you in a Wild sweater. But yeah, no, not a great performance. Not my favorite performance at all. Interesting week of games to recap there.
For sure.
Now, I believe our next segment here is the look around the league and play of the week.
So we're going to have a couple here. Why don't you start with your clip we have?
See, that's yours. That's mine.
So I've not seen this yet, and for my clip too, Dylan has not seen it.
We're going to live react.
We do not know puck, so we do not watch games.
Besides the Wild. So we'll start here. By the way, full credits NHL. I am going to, for very temporarily, since we're playing them tonight, I'm going to put the Oilers hat on for this one.
Oh boy.
This is good stuff, and this is actually pretty funny.
Fatigue that may set into the legs.
So that's a great save there.
What a play!
If I guess who.
Beautiful pass. Diving save.
That's pretty hard.
And Cole and Pickard got
Either
across
way,
to
though,
deny Hagel. That is the save of the night of Brendan Hagel right there. Watch this, the way he comes across a little bit unorthodox.
Andrei Svechnikov now. Moves in. Wallstedt save as well. But yeah.
I have to throw that in. I paused the video too late. Oh, we have to see Jesper Wallstedt's save. Oh no.
Take the hat off there now.
Wow, yeah. Edmonton Oilers goaltending. I did not think I would see a highlight for that. Maybe a low light.
Yeah.
Stuart Skinner loves realizing when teams are losing and decides to help them out a little bit.
W. Stuart Skinner.
Skinner.
That's my play of the week though. Let's look at yours here.
Yeah, great play by Edmonton Oilers goaltender.
Let's go.
I don't think I'd see.
Let's watch yours now. We've got
knuckle puck there for Billy Huselkat.
Brazil with a shot pass saved by Husso, fired up the right leg. Comes back in front.
Look at the
It's
hands there.
the giveaway. It's Bernard.
Yeah, I still hate him.
And he gives
Because he plays for Chicago. Great goal. That's all I'll say. Speaking of Connor Bedard here, let's take a look around the league. We will see the stats leaders, which I'm sure he'll be on some way or another. And yeah, sure enough, they're well. Oh wait. Oh, we've just got the team standings here. That's fine.
We know the stat leaders, but
No, but Bedard's on there. Celebrini's high up there. McKinnon's on there. We'll start with the Eastern Conference. We've got the Lightning leading their division, followed by, of course, like everyone expected, the Boston Bruins and Montreal Canadiens. Canadiens have fallen off a bit. They've really been hit with injuries to key depth players. Their goaltending is really shaky. You go into the Metro, and it is really the usual suspects, Carolina, New Jersey, Washington, and then we've got the Philly teams filling out the 2 wildcard spots instead of the bottom 2 spots in the conference that I really thought they'd be at. And yeah, you've got Toronto and Florida instead in those bottom 2 spots in the conference, which is really shocking. Very interesting to look at these standings about 1/3 of the way into the season. Funny stuff to see all across the board. How do you feel about it, Cole?
Yeah, I would take a lot of these standings, especially the wild card and bottom and middle of the conference, with a grain of salt. They are very close in points. A lot of parity, especially in that conference. It's a little different in the Western Conference, I would say, with our Central Division being the top and the Pacific being the bottom, which we'll get to soon. But yeah, looks like Penguins definitely fallen off. Looks like they're going to settle down around into a slightly below average team. Probably will fall out of the wild card, unfortunately, for Sid the Kid Crosby. Looks like he will not
Brazeau.
be. Rocket winner Justin Brazeau will not be performing in the playoffs.
Where was this on the Wild?
Where do we see him? Get rid of him and he's good.
So yeah, and real quick here, and we'll talk about this too when we look at the West, especially. Actually, no, we're just gonna save it for the West. Let's take a look at the West. We know the Central by heart, of course. We've got Minnesota just behind Dallas and Colorado. The way it will always be. In the Pacific, we've got the Wagon, Anaheim Ducks top of the division. I wonder who could have possibly predicted them to be in the playoffs. So we've got them flanked by LA and Vegas. And then, again, with a grain of salt, we've got San Jose and Seattle in those wildcard spots. This is, I believe, as of right now, yeah. With Chicago in tow, Edmonton out of a spot, Utah just out of a spot, Winnipeg really falling, and then Nashville, which we did unironically expect, at the very bottom. And real quick here, I will note, let's take a look at those overtime losses. We have got Vegas with, I believe, 8, LA with 7.
Jeez.
Even the Wild here have 5. We're a bit of merchants ourselves. Colorado's got 6. And even some of those teams that are out of a spot, just so many. Overtime losses are something, huh? Cool.
Yeah, overtime losses. We will get into it. So I have not liked the overtime point. I like to think of it as a participation point, and when the league is this close, giving those extra points to teams that just keep losing, I do not think should be happening. You can have stuff like that impacting who makes it into the final wild card spot, stuff like that. You can have 3 less wins and 8 more overtime losses, and boom, you're in the playoffs because you're worse. I would think everyone knows our 4 nations setup with the 3-2-1-0 system was very good. I think we can make it better. So I have several different proposals, and I think literally all of them will be better than what lethargic Gary Bettman likes doing, handing out his blue ribbons of participation to the losers. So one of them is, there's the obvious, you just get rid of the overtime point, 2 for a win, 0 for a loss. I think another one, going back to that 4 nations, 3-2-1-0 could be an option as well. What I would like to see over both of those options is keep overtime as 0 points for a loss, and then turn the shootout into a 2-1-0 instead. The shootout feels like, it's a shootout. It's not real hockey. It's a 1-on-0 against the goalie. It's fun to watch. It always will be, even if it's 4-0. I think the players will always perform just because it's a fun thing to do. It's something you can do backyard with your friends, practice your moves. But I think if we want overtime to be more of a, actual competitive environment, which it is, I know you like overtime, but I think there's a lot of possession, a lot of keep away, and for no reason really. I think it should be more electric. Have a lot more impact. Going back and forth, turnovers. Make it fun, because that's what it looks like Batman wants it to be with 3-on-3. Or you can turn it into something serious. Keep 2 points for overtime, and then 1 and 2 for a shootout, or even after overtime it just ends in a tie. Both teams get 1 point, do a shootout. That will really, I think, make players really want to perform and close the game out in overtime. I know it's probably controversial, putting a shootout in a tie. But I just want to see overtime live up to its true potential. What do you think?
As you did mention very briefly, I am a slightly bigger fan of 3-on-3 overtime than the average NHL watcher. I'm still a believer, or the ideals and what 3-on-3 overtime is supposed to be, I'm an enjoyer of. Just the 3-on-3, the open ice, it's fun. I do think that it's just the way it is now is terrible with that keep away like you're talking about. I do like your suggestions. Implementing them would be kind of difficult in my opinion, but I would like to see something done about it. I think the best options, in my opinion, are either having something where if the team in possession of the puck brings it into the zone and then brings it back past their blue line or the center ice line, that's like a penalty or like a turnover. You have to do a face-off. That would be good, just because that kind of changes the play style. Or, like you kind of alluded to, you could have it where if no one scores in overtime, it's just 1 point. It's a tie. Shootout's really fun, but I mean, it's not very conducive to encouraging teams to just play their hearts out in overtime like we need to see them doing. So while I do like 3-on-3 OT, something needs to happen, and I like your suggestions.
Yeah, 3-on-3 OT is the concept of it's great. It's just the execution of what the players play is not, and then shootouts is just it's kind of it's not competitive. You can't have a game end like that on a shootout.
Yep, would agree. Real quick here to close out. Let's look ahead to the Wild's schedule and maybe what we're going to talk about a little bit next episode. So first off, we'll look at that. We've got the Oilers pretty much right now as we're recording. Then we've got the Flames 2 nights later. And then we've got the Canucks on Saturday. So we'll review all of those games next time out. We'll talk a little bit about some more stuff. We'll save that for then. But for now, good work. Good first episode. Feeling pretty good. Anything you want to close with?
We'll be back next week after 3 straight 5-0 wins.
Yep, that's what we better see.
That's what Devin said. Gucci. It's what he's always wanted.
That is one thing I would like to say before we finish up here. This jersey here, Devin Gucci, representing something beyond being just niche. While we do like to have very strong opinions and be stupid on this show, we are diehard Wild fans. We have been for a long time because this jersey is it's not a recent purchase. I'm not a very big guy. But this doesn't.
It's a small
fit
jersey.
This doesn't fit me anymore. It hasn't fit me since I wore it when I was probably 10, 15 or so years ago. So we're Wild fans. We've been Wild fans for a long time, and we will be making Wild content in multiple ways. So thank you guys for watching the State of Hockey podcast. We will see you next time.
We'll be back.
Yep.